So this is my review for Megadeth. So Megadeth, the album, is supposed to be Megadeth's final album, which was released on January 23rd, 2026. And today it's the 28th. So, not a full week, but I've spent, some time listening to it. I hadn't paid attention to Megadeth in a while. I mean, granted, their last release was in 2022, but I really didn't care for that album, really. I didn't have high hopes for this one when I heard that it was coming out, and I'm just being completely honest. Upon listening to Megadeth, the album, I realized early on that my expectations were right to be low. While not technically bad, the instrumental parts to the album aren't bad. They're just really boring and uninteresting to me. It's so glaringly obvious that the album is just, the Dave Mustaine project, and no one really has a say in the music but Dave. The originality is low, and the entire album sounds very formulaic. It's clear that very little of this, if anything, comes from the heart. The album just sounds like another paycheck. The lyrics are laughably bad and are very reminiscent of poetry written by a middle schooler. For example, the beginning lyrics to the song Another Bad Day are, "Woke up on the floor again. No idea just where I've been. My phone is dead. The rent is due. I lost my job and I lost it too." That's my Dave Mustaine voice. And then, of course, there's the song called I Don't Care, which is like, what are we doing here, Dave? This is like 8th grade shit. Anyway, ironically, this song is one of the few, and by that I mean Another Bad Day. Another Bad Day is one of the few that are musically more interesting than the rest. I have often wondered who this album is made for. I mean, if, the intended audience is supposed to be like young kids, so be it. But the way I read the lyrics, I just assume that the final appeal is for young, like 13-year-olds trying to rebel at the dentist office. It's a long, far away. And I'm not even saying, it's supposed to be, he needs to be like the 80s. No, for me, I still like, majority of the stuff, I like Megadeth, surprisingly. And for me, I really can jam pretty much everything up through about System Has Failed. So to me, I'm like, what really happened here? What happened? It feels like Mustaine long ran out of ideas of what to write about, but of course refused to allow any fresh ideas to come in. So in a strange way, he ends up like ripping off his old ideas. The song Made to Kill is lyrically in theme to something that you would hear on The System Has Failed or Dystopia, but it feels a lot more watered down. It's almost like as if Dave Mustaine, somehow, in his life, of all people, Dave Mustaine sounds afraid to offend anybody. Obey the Call is a mildly interesting song instrumentally, but quickly becomes boring and forgettable background music. I Am War is kind of more like I Am Bored, in my opinion. The album ends with a cover of Ride the Lightning, if you want to call it that. I don't know how else you call it. I'm just going to say cover. But of Ride the Lightning, which of course is, by Metallica. I'm not going to I'm not going to bring up the Dave Mustaine Metallica shit. Don't even hope for that. But this cover of Ride the Lightning was pretty hard to listen to because Dave Mustaine somehow made a thrash metal song into a hard rock one. I didn't even know that was possible by Dave Mustaine, of all people. I felt like Mustaine's voice was going out during the recording. And yes, I know he did have cancer in the past, but I'm just saying I was not a fan of the vocals during the song, is the only way I can put it. It sounded pretty bad, I'll be honest. I wondered if this was truly the best that he could do because of what had happened. But the cover as a whole, not just his voice, I mean, instrumentally too, it was kind of embarrassing to listen to. And honestly, I prefer the original so much better. I don't really think, I mean, Megadeth's not really the type of band that has done covers that I cared for. The only cover I really liked that they ever did in their entire career was Paranoid. But even still, I like their version of Paranoid, but nothing can beat the Typo Negative version of Paranoid either. But anyway, back to the album review. I felt like for them to have ended this album with a cover of Ride the Lightning was very lackluster. After this song ends, after the song, the album just ends. And I found myself just thinking, that's it? Even though the album is over 40 minutes long, I was just kind of like, what a disappointing way to end a 40-year career. Time will tell if this is truly going to be Megadeth's last album. Maybe it will. I don't know. I mean, granted, there were other albums in the past that was supposed to be the last one. If Megadeth, the album, is really their last one, I suppose Dave Mustaine will truly be dancing for the crowd in a puppet parade. So, I don't really have any stars. I don't know if I'm going to do stars for albums, but if I were to give this album a letter grade, I would give it a D, honestly. I wasn't too impressed with it. It was just boring for me. Not necessarily horrible, because there's actually really bad music out there, but I found this just boring and forgettable. To me, this is not really what I would envision. This is not the way I would envision someone ending a 4-decade career, in my opinion. It seems like it's like a sad whimper, really. That's how it ends. That's it. But I guess it is. And that's it. That's my review.